option between processed and sugar-laden cereals versus a bowl of oats, for example. What is promising is that 32% of parents indicated that their children significantly influence the purchase of healthy food. Now, this was double the number of respondents who indicated that their child had a significant influence on purchasing unhealthy food. So again, having children prompts you to buy healthier food for your whole family. While older children between the ages of 13 and 17 appear to have a better understanding of nutrition, there is still a large knowledge gap when it comes to eating healthily and maintaining a balanced lifestyle. A concerted effort by parents, schools, the private sector, food brands, and public figures needs to be made to encourage good nutrition, healthy eating behaviors, and balanced lifestyle among our children, so that we can thrive and become the best, so that they can thrive and become the best possible version of themselves. And it all begins at home, by taking small daily steps where we can afford to, as well as talking to our children about the real impact of what and how we eat. I am so excited to say that this year's research report can almost double up as a handbook to help you help your children along their journey to becoming healthy and productive adults. Now, in realizing the second State of Nutrition report, various spokespeople from the Association for Dietetics in South Africa, namely ADSA, made recommendations about how to help children eat healthier and how to prepare healthy snacks that they will really love. Now I'd like to introduce you to Maria, President of ADSA. Please, can you share your tips about how we can help our children make healthier choices? Maria.
Indeed, thank you, Tracy. We recommend 5 easy ways in the report to help children make healthier choices. These include keeping fresh, whole grain, high fiber, and natural foods close at hand at eye level, so that children can help themselves when they are hungry. Keeping a fruit bowl on the kitchen counter on the dining room table is also a good idea. Children will naturally reach for healthy foods if these are readily available. Roll up your children's sleeves and get them involved in the preparation of home-cooked meals. Allow them to choose what they want to eat by allowing them to build their own meal, choosing foods from a variety of food groups for each mealtime. This could include lean proteins, high fiber starches, and a variety of vegetables. Children are also more likely to eat foods that they help to prepare. And this is the perfect opportunity to share information about where food comes from, the nutrients found in it, and how it will positively impact their bodies and help them grow big and strong. Children also love visually appealing food. You can try combining different colors and even different shapes of food with the help of cookie cutters. It's helpful to combine their favorite foods alongside healthy foods to make a balanced meal. These are just a few of the tips. There are more in the report.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and professional expertise. For everyone listening, just a reminder that there are a number of child and family-friendly recipes throughout the report, and we encourage you to try at home with your little ones. Tag us in your photos on social media. We'd love to see them. And remember to use the hashtag #EatWellLiveWell. Right, now let's hear from Claire Jelsing-Stradel. Claire is a registered dietitian and a mother of 2 young children. She has helped compile a guide to balanced snacking ideas for kids. Can you please tell us more about those, Claire?
Absolutely, Tracy. You can find some of my suggestions that I try with my children in this year's report. These include doing a cheese board, or we call it a fun plate at home, where I do lots of crunchy and colorful snacks for the children just to eat with their hands. I love also making crunchy homemade high fiber pasta, and I put my own little seasonings on that. I make homemade dips that the kids can dip those high fiber little pasta scoops into. We also then do pantry staples for the boys. I've got 2 young boys, and they can then choose from these pantry staples themselves. They also love to take apples and dip that into peanut butter, so that's also a favorite in our house. Something else that I always advise my patients that's often a misconception, is to be aware of fruit juice. Fruit juice is often equivalent to drinking soft drinks in terms of the sugar content. And that's because when we take fresh fruit and we squash that and we make juice, we lose a lot of the pulp. We no longer have the fiber matrix. And what then happens is that fructose that comes into the bloodstream, and people often are drinking large portions, actually the fructose has to go to the liver to convert from fructose to glucose to enter the bloodstream. And that increases triglycerides, which is a type of fat. It increases the production of triglycerides. So it's really important that we help people make better choices. We know that a single serving of fruit juice should only be 125 ml, which is half a cup. And I then rather recommend to my patients to have 50-50 dilution with fruit juice and water, or rather use low-calorie, low-sugar squashes in moderation. It's best to rather teach children to drink water when they're thirsty. And we want to model this as parents and show our children how to be good water drinkers. And you've shown us the benefits already in terms of that, Tracy. I cover numerous other tips as well in the report.
Appreciate it, Claire. I'm sure our audience members will read your healthy snacking ideas and implement them. I know I certainly am going to. And I've already been testing out some of the recipes on my boys, and so far so good. And they're real fuss pots. Now, we know that being healthy is not just about what you eat. Virgin Active South Africa has provided professional insights into this year's report on the positive lifelong impacts of exercise for children. If you've ever needed a reason to get active with your children, science shows that an active lifestyle is essential for a child's physical growth, disease prevention, emotional development, and psychological well-being. Physical activity positively impacts brain function, reflexes, reaction times, as well as creative skills. Active children perform much better at school. They show higher levels of concentration and problem-solving abilities, as well as improved mathematics, reading, writing, and spelling skills. That is enough for me to start running with my kids. An increase in physical activity and longer weekly exercise routines are associated with improved overall health and wellness during childhood. And there's no doubting it. The research is there. The facts are there. Exercise is incredibly beneficial. Now, with many children undertaking online learning due to the pandemic and no longer able to participate in physical education classes and school sports, Virgin Active has compiled a list of age-appropriate fun exercises that parents and guardians can do with their babies and children between the ages of 18 months and 13 years to keep them active and stimulated during this time. Go and check them out in the report. There's some really great ideas there. Thank you, Savesh.
Thank you very much, Tracy, and to Claire and Maria for sharing your insights and what you've put into the report to give us a bit of a taste of what we can expect when we do read it. So really looking forward to doing that again. Can I bring Arthur on stage now? I want to have a bit of a conversation with Arthur as someone that helps, channel so much of what Tiger Brands does in this food space and through his personal brand, also a lot of what regular South Africans at large are able to pick up and pick up. So Arthur, I want to ask you, I mean, during this particular time in our lives with the dreaded COVID being around, the report says that 52% of respondents have actually indicated that they ate more foods that are perceived as being immune boosting. Now, whether that be garlic, lemon, ginger, or your great neighbors, someone's best recipe about building this, because we know a lot of those have been passed around in various messages. But we also know that while it is a good defense in terms of having a strong immune system, the better action to really take is around eating a balanced diet rather than supplements exclusively. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Certainly, Savesh. I think in reality, there is no quick fix to boost the immune system in a short amount of time. Or simply put, there is actually nothing that can boost the immune system. And I know this is something that people don't always want to hear, but instead we should nurture our immune system in a sustainable way by looking at our gut microbiome. And this is because 60 to 70% of our immune function is housed in our gut. So we can do so daily by adopting a generally healthy, balanced diet, as you have indicated, which really includes high fiber food and vegetables that are high in prebiotics as well. We also can regularly eat fermented foods like yogurt that are also high in probiotics, which will then ensure the optimum function of our immune system. And those are just few things that people could look at. And in the report itself, there is an extensive chapter where we really look at this in more detail.
Good, thank you, Arthur. And I suppose everyone would be very much aware that mental health does take up a lot more of the conversation. And I think I'm very glad that many more people are able to speak out around their mental health challenges and the like in more recent years than long ago. But I suppose for me, what was very interesting is the relationship between mental health and a healthy gut microbiome. Do you want to just give us the headline of what that speaks to?
Yes, Savesh, we have seen that mental health issues have been in the rise. I mean, pre-COVID, even during COVID, they have always been magnified now. And I think the important thing to know is that an imbalance and unhealthy diet may cause what we call a dysbiosis of the gut microbiome. And this really happens when there are greater number of harmful rather than beneficial bacteria in our gut, and which may then result in the inflammation of the gut. So this inflammation may cause common things that people experience, like stomach pain, bloating, indigestion, as well as diarrhea or constipation. And at the same time, the physical effects of gut inflammation may negatively affect our moods. As you know that, if your gut is not well, you also don't feel well as well because of the well-established gut-brain connection. And there's also new research that suggests that prolonged unhealthy eating behaviors may contribute to the exacerbation of some of the mental issues like anxiety, depression, and other brain disorders such as Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and autism spectrum disorder. So it's really important to have a diverse gut microbiome, and in this way, for us to be able to improve, the mental health issues that we may be experiencing. So having said that, we should also make sure that we consult with our medical practitioners should we be experiencing any of these particular issues.
Absolutely. Thank you, Arthur. And I suppose it just highlights again for many of us that either never knew or have forgotten how important the food we eat is on our entire body functioning, including, who would have thought, mental health. So stay on stage because there's a few more points that I'm going to come back to so we'll pull you back just as we get there. But I suppose in a very positive turn of events, what we've seen in our latest report is that close to a third of South Africans claim to try to avoid sugar. Now, what was surprising is that significantly higher proportion of respondents within LSM 4 to 6, 43% of them, avoid sugar when compared to the average consumer. Now, it appears that many South Africans have become more aware of the crippling impacts of eating too much sugar and the potential health implications thereof. Now, Maria, you've written an article or a report, a chapter of the report in this year's State of Nutrition 2021 report that deals with sugar. Do you want to give us the headline of that, just as a sweetener for everyone that's going to read the full report and understand how to take it forward?
Thank you very much, Sudesh. In the chapter, we tackle questions about whether sugar can form part of a healthy balanced diet, and we also provide easy to understand answers to common questions while busting some myths. These questions included if all sugars are equal, and the answer is simple. Regardless of their source or how they are refined, all sugars and syrups are very similar in terms of their energy density and nutritional value. Some of the other questions we answered included if natural sugars found in fruit and vegetables are healthier than those added to foods. We also offered practical tips about what to do if you have raised blood sugar. Thank you, Savesh.
Thank you very much, Maria. And I know that report is particularly informative because it speaks to common everyday choices that we could make different to our current, maybe unhealthy choices to improve our overall well-being. So Arthur, I told you not to go far, so I'm going to bring you back on stage here quickly. So the answer to whether all sugars are equal actually may startle a few. And there are probably some other nutrition myths that float around much too often. And as I said, in those social media friend groups, family groups that people then become obsessed with. You want to talk us through a few more of those myths that are unpacked in the State of Nutrition in South Africa Report 2021?
Yeah, Savesh, we know that the birth of social media meant that there are many messages that are passed around, which are not necessarily true around nutrition. So in this year's report, I also debunk a number of nutrition myths, such as whether all calories are equal and if low-fat foods are actually always healthier than full-fat foods, And I think for me as a dietitian as well, I'm often asked whether it's okay to skip breakfast and if everyone needs to take supplements and whether there are foods that can actually burn fat. And in this report, there is a lot of suggestions that I make as well around easy ways in which each and every one of us can actually adopt a generally healthy diet each day so that that becomes an internalized part of what we do, looking at portion control, looking at meal planning, slowing down when we're eating. And also, I think the other important thing to highlight is that this year's report includes a chapter about the psychology of eating by, Kim Hoffman, who is a registered dietitian with an honors in psychology and vision actions expert around nutrition. And she provides useful tips and techniques around distinguishing between stomach hunger as well as head hunger. And this is about practicing intuitive eating, by listening to, our bodies, taking a balanced approach and really treating ourselves occasionally and being more gentle with ourselves because life is already hard, but also just remembering that, this is a lifelong journey we are on.
No, absolutely, Arthur. I think you're absolutely spot on. It is about being gentle on ourselves and also understanding that if we do the right things, this journey that we're on could be a lot healthier and a lot longer. So let's make the right choices. Now, while it does seem that many more people have become aware of the possible adverse effects of eating too much sugar too often, it seems that many are still unaware of the harmful effects of eating too much salt. And we know how harmful that can be when you just take that little grinder and go, or you just take the shaker and almost invisibly have a lot of salt appear on your food. You want to talk us a little bit more about your findings in that space?
Yes, at this point in time, salt also needs to take the center stage. As we've seen in our report that 57.5% of the respondents actually eat too much salt, which is more than the World Health recommendation, 5 grams or teaspoon daily. And these respondents also add 1 or more teaspoons of salt, to their food each day during their food preparation, and also with adding more than double the salt recommendation, at home, or it could be, a salt shaker on the table, and some of them don't even taste the food during cooking, and they just add too much salt into their diet. And much like sugar, the overconsumption of salt may lead to dilapidating, lifestyle diseases. And this is why the report outlines how to understand food nutrition labels, but also we make practical suggestions around salt alternatives that can be explored during cooking, using plain dried herbs, lemon juice, among many other ingredients that can really be wholesome and provide taste in food without really adding too much salt. And over time, the palate will definitely get used to the taste of food without having salt in it.
Great. Thank you so much, Arthur. So don't go too far. We will bring you back a little later for being part of our panel as well. And I suppose we've heard now that South Africans are making better choices with regard to their sugar intake, but still a long way to go. They're maybe not taking enough action with regard to their salt intake. And how are we actually faring with regards to water intake? And actually, the unfortunate reality is that many are not drinking enough water. Tracy, you spoke about the 1 glass per 10 kilograms weight. So it feels like you are able to talk to us a little bit more about the water impact that we're seeing in this year's report.
found rather surprising was that 41% of South Africans don't drink the recommended 8 glasses of water a day, or the 1 glass for every 10 kg of body weight, profounding statement I made earlier, which needs to be, in fact, readjusted now that we're headed into summer, when you exercise, or if you're pregnant or ill. Now, of those consumers, 28% claim that they don't have time to do so. 19% say that they don't like the taste. And 9% do not have access to clean and safe drinking water, something that needs to be addressed urgently. Our report provides some useful tips about how to add natural flavors to your water. So today I've popped some lemon and mint in my water. I particularly struggle with the taste of water, so I'm always flavoring it with something. But we found that now this is good news. So we found that those who do drink more water lead much healthier and more balanced lifestyles overall. They are also more likely to avoid eating sugar, because let's face it, I mean, water does keep you full and curbs cravings, and more likely to read food nutrition labels. So Vesh, I'm now going to turn a few questions on you, if I may.
Sure.
Can you please tell us how eating local foods is better for your health, the environment, and the economy?
Yeah, and I think this is an important one, because I see a question had popped up into the Q&A talking about what is Tiger Brands doing around sustainability, and I think we'll cover it just now. But we all know and should know that locally produced foods are better for the environment because of their lower carbon footprint, as the world races towards cutting carbon dioxide emissions to net zero by 2050. And as we talk about children and potentially grandchildren, we need to be thinking that far ahead and beyond. So let's begin with how locally produced foods are better for your health. Local fresh produce has a shorter farm-to-fork life cycle than imported produce, and this means that there's less time for respiration. Now, that's the loss of moisture and nutrients once the plant has been picked. So there's less time for that to occur. And so the sooner you eat produce after it has been picked or harvested and ripened, the more nutrients it should have. Now, globally, there's a transition towards sourcing local foods to help support businesses across the food and beverage value chain and to reignite local economies, which brings me to my next point. Now, food insecurity burdens our society with numerous socioeconomic ills while threatening future economic development. Now, this has been more evident since the start of the global pandemic and strict lockdowns, which have choked our economy. And everyone can feel this in the respective personal or professional spaces that we thrive in. Now, balancing this equation will drive future economic development, as balanced diets ensure a healthy body and mind, optimum immune function, and fight the onset of chronic diseases. Now, all of this leads to improved academic results, decreased absenteeism and school dropouts, while increasing future employment opportunities, which we desperately need when you reference the very high unemployment rate that Becky highlighted earlier. Now, while sourcing food from around the world encourages a diverse plate, choosing local produce and products more frequently not only supports Brand South Africa, but also contributes towards our national prosperity, which is something we should all have a vested interest in.
And how would you say Tiger Brands is playing its part in all of this?
Now, there are multiple ways that we are doing so, and let me just talk about one of them for right now. So Tiger Brands is leading the transformation of the country's agricultural sector by supporting diversity and inclusivity through its enterprise and supplier development program, which we've had in place for many years now. Inclusive growth is the cornerstone of the company's developmental mandate, with a focus on including Black, female-owned SMEs across the company's entire value chain, from farmers and aggregators to product suppliers and service providers. Now, encouraging more females and previously disadvantaged individuals to enter the sector has the potential to offer much needed mentorship, skills development, capital funding, and most importantly, market access coupled with commercialization strategies, which can often be the hurdle that many small business owners actually can't get over. Now, all of these have very long-lasting impacts on food security, our local economy, and to achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals. The ongoing business support enables startups to play alongside more entrenched businesses so as to level the playing field by eliminating the barriers to entry, which might otherwise persist if Tiger Brands didn't, and many others, but Tiger Brands in this instance didn't make an impact differently.
So how will the venture capital fund future-proof South Africa's food and beverage value chain?
Yeah, so this is something I'm particularly excited about, because while we've had the Enterprise and Supply Development Program in place for many years, the Venture Capital Fund is something that we've recently announced, and I'm very pleased to be a part of it and actually making a change in the environment and the communities at large that we can impact. Now, Tiger Brands established this multi-million rand venture capital fund in June 2021, so it's very recent. And the intent is to help food and beverage startups and SMEs to grow. And judging by the amount of interest we've had in participation in the fund, that we know that we're not at a shortage for entrepreneurs wanting to grow their businesses. But it is also about creating more employment and upskilling opportunities in the agriculture and food manufacturing sector of South Africa, which I spoke to about earlier. Now, in the aftermath of the global pandemic, I can't see very many better initiatives as corporates for us to embark on to be able to create a difference in support of everything else that's going on in the environment. Now, the fund will focus on further developing consumer trends in the health, the plant-based diets, convenience, and snacking sectors, the consumer growth trends that we've deemed critical and important that consumers are driving and that we need to be able to support them on their journeys of. Now, it will find and scale new consumer relevant opportunities within each of these spaces. And lastly, the Venture Capital Fund will fast track the implementation of technology opportunities across the Tiger Brands value chain, wherever those opportunities may present themselves.
Thank you. Now, Tiger Brands is also involved in trying to lobby to establish a secondary agri-produce market. Can you please explain to